Everybody. It's great to be here, and it's great to be, once again, vibe coding live for everybody. So I'm really excited that we have an opportunity today to show you a little bit about V0, which is the vibe coding platform that Vercel has been working on now for quite a while. And the journey of V0 has been to go from what it started out as a design tool into a full stack vibe coding platform. So today we'll be one-shotting a full stack crypto app where the front end will be using V0 and the technologies that you know and love from Vercel, like Next.js, but the back end will be decentralized. One of the things that stood out about the presentation just now is this idea of democratizing access to payments and financial infrastructure. So it's one of the things that I've been passionate about for a while, and I think this presentation will bring it all together. So I'll be sharing my screen really quick. Let's see if it's coming in. All right, cool. And as one does, of course, the presentation itself is a V0, and it's been vibe coded right to the wire by yours truly. We've been vibe coding the slides themselves until the very last minute. So, and because, by the way, I'll be vibe coding live today, so bear with any hiccups. Today is a big model launch day for V0. I will also be giving you a sneak peek into some of the features that are only enabled on my account and are not more broadly enabled for V0 users yet that I'm really excited about. So to kick it off, Vercel, as our parent company, we're building the AI cloud. This means giving you the platform, the infrastructure, the frameworks to build AI-native applications. What does this mean? What is an AI-native application? It might be an application that takes the form of a new UI, like an assistant. It might be an application that exposes itself over MCP to another agent. Or it might be an agent itself. For example, a lot of what we've used to build V0, we've open sourced, or Vercel gives you the infrastructure primitives to build yourself. So we're also really privileged to host and deliver a lot of amazing companies, especially crypto companies and paradigm portfolio companies as well. So super excited to be partnering with this community on building this AI cloud. And I think this is a very timely conference presentation because I believe that the two most exciting trends in the future of technology as a whole are crypto and AI. And I think there's been a bunch of memes about what the intersection point will be between these two mega trends. And I do think that vibe coding or code generation could play a fundamental role here because there's been a barrier to adoption of a lot of crypto technologies, especially when you're coming in from the Web 2 world or the traditional software world. So if we can make a lot of the primitives that you all are building more deeply integrated into vibe coding agents, then we'll be able to bring crypto to the masses. We're so back. So the premise of V0 is really simple: generate full stack applications using natural language. For most of us here, it'll be English. So you basically have this agentic UI. You write a bunch of prompts. You can also include screenshots. You can import files and other assets into your generation. But the idea is that all of the stuff that we've been building for the last 10 years, all of the hard infrastructure, all of the framework patterns, all of the UI components, Vercel wants to give them to everybody, including the best practices for how to deliver those without having to learn all of the ins and outs of software engineering. Our AI cloud has fundamentally two parts. One is the SDK, or the programming layer. The idea here is that when you bring your projects to Vercel, they will typically use some kind of known framework. We started out with very focused on front end, so Next.js, Svelte, Nuxt, etc. But more and more so, we've been sort of venturing into what's a full stack cloud infrastructure platform. So we just announced support for Hono. We are working on support for Express.js natively in the platform. And of course, we are partnering and integrating with vibe coding agents and building our own in V0. The other thing that I'm going to be talking a little bit about today is security is really important, I think, specifically for this industry, right? Anytime there's a security breach in the crypto world, it's so over until we come back the next week. But especially for a company like Vercel, where a lot of mission-critical infrastructure is running that powers the world, including a lot of your old companies, security is very important to us. Something that we've embedded deeply into V0 is the ability to align the models towards secure outcomes. So I'll be generating some code today, and I want to reassure you, on one hand, we put a lot of effort into producing secure code out of the box, but I'll also give the disclaimer that when you ship code to production, we still need the human in the loop, revising and ensuring and signing off on the security of that software. The other really important piece for you all to know, as you build your own crypto plus AI platforms, there's a bunch of new primitives and frameworks that you can use. One for us is the AI SDK. Think of the AI SDK as the equivalent of if Porto brings you payments, subscriptions, micropayments, tipping, et cetera, think of the AI SDK as bringing LLMs into your project. And Vercel is building a bunch of other primitives to support that. And obviously, the Vercel platform itself is secure, audited, pen-tested, et cetera, so it's a good foundation to be building on. Last but not least, everything you'll see today, we've built on Vercel ourselves. V0 is one of many agents that will exist and shape the future of the internet. If you have an idea for how to create crypto apps with agents that has a unique perspective or domain, or you want to specialize it for a certain set of technologies, we should talk, because you can build that on Vercel. So today, the demo that we prepared brings this idea to reality, or this premise to reality of how can I easily infuse financial infrastructure, ideally, of course, decentralized financial infrastructure, into the applications that I create. This has been a long-sought dream of the internet, right? 402 is the status code of HTTP that's payment required. The grandfathers of the internet thought about 400 bad requests, very common when you're misusing an API, so it's like super top of mind. Then we have 404, missing page or resource not found. But we have 402, payment required. So clearly, the internet has been designed to embed the idea of financial infra and payments deeply into its design. It just has not happened yet. So we're so back. I think this room here could be the community that brings this dream to fruition. So for those that do not know V0, something that we're really proud of is our community. So very much like GitHub open source repos, V0 open sources or distributes examples, starter kits. There could be as little as one component, or it can be something that has already sort of foundations to start a full stack application from. So in the case of today, we're sort of bringing this new starter kit called Porto Starter. And unlike GitHub, not to diss on them, but a lot of the code that's in GitHub is kind of hard to get up and running. You have to clone it. You have to take a short PhD in developer tools. You have to get all your compilers and CLIs right. And then maybe like 10 minutes later, you have a project up and running. In the world of V0, we are making it literally one click. So I clicked and I cloned. And this is now my own playground where I can prompt and I can make all of my dreams come true. One such dream that I want to come true in this case is that, I don't know why I'm using light mode. So good, progress. But where the hell did my logos go? So instead of being frustrated at software, which we all are, of course, I can start prompting and say, like, let's draw a white background around the logos, make them larger, and overall make the page more dark mode ready. So what you're seeing on the left-hand side of the screen is a cutting-edge version of V0 that nobody but me has access to. So we're getting a glimpse of what will soon be a default in V0, which is actually an agentic development workflow. So V0 kind of started out as an assistant, very one-shot. And in fact, the title of the presentation was a little deceptive because we said we're going to one-shot crypto apps. We kind of are going to one-shot crypto apps, by the way. But you're going to see the agent sort of think through a lot of the steps of the ideal way to solve this problem. We're making the reasoning traces available to you guys. So if the agent ever goes off the rails, you can kind of audit what it decided to do. In this case, it's saying the user wants me to add white backgrounds around logos, make logos larger, make the page more dark mode friendly. I guess I was absolutely right. It captured everything I wanted. So you're going to see two new steps that if you're familiar with V0 today, you probably have not seen yet, which is we're scaling V0 to deal with very large code bases. So V0 can now explore your code base and find the precise place in which I guess it undid. It took my instruction a little too literally with white background. But now I have my two white borders around my logos. And one of the interesting things about agent mode is it's going to continue to revise my work. It has now the ability to capture screenshots. It has the ability to capture issues and auto-fix them. So it actually kind of read my mind as I was speaking. I was going to say, if V0 ever goes off the rails, we have design mode. So notice that, and this has kind of been a frustrating thing about AIs for a lot of people. If the AI ever gets something not quite perfect, there's almost no recourse unless you keep prompting and prompting and prompting. And our goal here is to actually bridge the gap with end-to-end software engineering. Think of it as like having a designer on call for your team. So I went into design mode. I selected that, and I'm now going to increase the padding. I guess that looks good to me. I'm kind of an OCD person, so I could keep doing this the whole day, just keep improving this. But we're going to get to the crypto part soon. OK, now that I have something more dark mode, and again, just because I'm a little pedantic here, I'm going to change this to neutral 700, 800. That looks better. Notice that I was actually design moding here a component. So kind of a frustrating part about design tools sometimes can be that you change one thing, and then you have to go and change 200 other things. Because V0 is aware of components, I was actually able to just change that. And again, I could keep refining the design here. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you that the Porto backend is actually already deeply integrated into my V0 generation here. So the pop-up you're probably not going to see here. So I'm going to sign in. We talked about passkeys just now. The onboarding of Porto is, by the way, phenomenal. I'm a big passkey guy myself. So I'm now logged in. I had previously created my account. This onboarding flow that comes with this template already comes with both the ability to quickly sign up or sign in. I was already signed in. We integrated the concept of subscriptions. And one of the ideas that we were brainstorming for this presentation was, how cool would it be if I could create my own personal, fully decentralized version of something like Substack? So the way of the world until now has been, if you want a blog, if you want a newsletter, if you want to launch a meme coin, you have to go to someone's platform. And that platform sort of built all of the features and capabilities so that you can create your own sort of little version within that ecosystem of whatever they're offering. The way of vibe coding seems to be more going back to the world in promised land of personal software. This is my own sort of little block on the internet, and it's mine. I can actually go and press deploy here. I can deploy to production, and it'll be on my own domain name. It'll have my own keys configured for the Porto integration, and I can turn this simply into whatever I want it to be, right? So in this case, I'm going to prompt, let's take the example of once I'm authenticated with Porto, I want to, just to follow the Substack metaphor, display a selection of 3 gated articles. And because I'm short of time, I'm not even going to write the articles. I'm going to have the agent look up some recent news about the crypto world. So, and I'm going to tell it, make sure that the articles only appear if you're subscribed to tier 2 or higher. So because this comes with subscriptions built in, I'm going to go and let it cook on 1, getting the articles and researching the space. 2 is going to examine the existing code base, and it's going to find the places in the code where it deals with authorization, and where it deals with subscriptions. So interestingly enough, it's finding crypto news. Recent cryptocurrency news events, January 2025, Bitcoin, Ethereum, DeFi. Oh, cool. It's probably going to be something related to the price, is my guess. That's what we're always talking about. OK, so it got some data. By the way, this is just one example of how your agent can get data. One of the really cool things about the integration ecosystem that we're building around V0 is that you can grab sort of your financial infra from Porto, or if you want to grab the identity layer and combine it with some other integration, you can do that. You can merge Web 2 services and Web 3 services. But also, when it comes to content, you can also bring in your own database, right? So I think this has been part of the long-held dream of finding that balance of what are the Web 2 services that make sense for my product, what are the Web 3 services that make sense for my product. So one example here, if you explore the integration ecosystem of V0, we have an integration with Supabase, where you can create more of a boomer traditional Postgres database, and also layer on some of these next-generation decentralized services. We're working with companies like Shopify to bring integrations for e-com backends. We are working with CMS companies to bring integrations into content. Most likely what's going to happen here is that as the agent researches the content for the articles, it's probably going to inline them in here. But it doesn't have to be that way, of course. You can have a database that's sourcing the articles and render them dynamically. At the end of this, we're gonna test it in this development environment. While we generate, I'm gonna go back to revision number 2. One of the design principles of V0 has been sort of very similar to one of the originating principles of blockchain. Everything you do in a V0 is part of an immutable set of blocks. So I can go back in time, I can say, like, what does this look like in the beginning? If you've used Vercel before, this will ring a bell. It's a little bit like every message that I'm giving the agent becomes an immutable deployment in V0. The other thing that's happening if you go here and open a new tab is that each one of those instantiations is getting its own little sort of like preview environment. This is not your production environment. There's been news recently of, oh my God, my agent deleted my entire database. Obviously, you have to be really careful here, but one of the things that V0 does is during quote-unquote development here, you're only linked to the Porto staging environment. And then once you go to prod, you can actually go and finish the swing and bring your, again, production keys. Another thing that's worth calling out here is you might be thinking, well, if I have a service with millions of users, can I actually vibe code my way into production? Like, would you actually take this code and toss it in front of, Porto.sh or Paradigm.com? And the answer is actually quite nuanced, right? Like, one of the utilities of this is that you go from idea to live application really, really quickly, and you can share it. So V0 basically acts as a communication tool. There are a lot of people in your teams that don't have the ability to write crypto apps from scratch really, really quickly. So what we do at Vercel a lot is whenever there's a new idea for how to improve our products, we immediately go to V0. We skip the design process, and basically everyone at Vercel is shipping like actual, live, interactive, working prototypes of software. So it looks like my final version here completed. So it's going to ask me to sign in to try. I'm getting, again, the continue with Porto here pop up. Beautiful. So now I'm logged in. I said tier 2 or higher, so I'm going to subscribe to tier 2. It's telling me update permissions. You must update the following permissions to continue. Spend up to 8 EXP per month. Sounds amazing. I don't know exactly how much money that is, but I'll pay it in my staging environment. Thank you, Porto, for providing a staging environment, because I'm not paying anything. OK, so now I have my subscriptions. And look at that. So now I have my premium crypto analysis. This is not financial advice. This is just generated by the AI. But again, this is a product that in 3 prompts, I created an application from scratch, integrated into Porto. Number 2, I started personalizing it to fit my design aesthetic. If I had had more time, I would have gone harder. But at least I made it dark mode. And number three, I actually created incremental value, right? So in this case, I'm ideating having my own personal sort of Substack style platform. Another thing I'll emphasize that I kind of touched upon earlier, what Vercel is committing to do when we generate this code is to actually give you code of the quality that we ourselves would write. So the V0 team works really hard on the evaluations of code that guarantee performance, quality, security, et cetera. So as an example, this app is likely far more optimized than when you go and run a command line that says create React app so-and-so, and then you copy and paste some client-side code for integrating Porto. So a lot of what Vercel is bringing to this product is aligning the LLM towards the more performant, higher quality, and hopefully safer and more secure standards. So last but not least, I can deploy to production. If you're familiar with Vercel, this basically means bringing the code, giving it a production-grade CI/CD environment, doing a build process, et cetera. Bunch of nerd stuff that I think the Vibe coders of the future will never know existed. To do it a little bit of justice, we're still streaming the logs. But again, the idea here is let's do our best to produce production-grade software out of the prompting. OK, so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be sharing. Oh, literally at 10 a.m., by the way. We're really doing this live. At 10 a.m., V0, the V0 team has been partnering with OpenAI to launch GPT-5 support. It actually goes, the API access goes online at 11 a.m. So when you go to V0, you're going to be seeing this pop up. This kind of gives you a sense of how Vercel live codes, because my team is probably shipping code as I'm here in this presentation. Yeah, last but not least, the example that I created today and the starter kit will be publishing back into the community. So the recipe here for you all who want to try V0, especially with GPT-5, is go to V0 community, find the template, and press open with V0. My call to action for you all, give us feedback on how we can make V0 better for your community and your ecosystem. We're working on initiatives to align our models and give feedback back to the AI labs on how do I make sure that it's holding the Porto SDK correctly? How do I make sure that it's producing secure code? Especially for you all that work in the security realm and spend a lot of time red teaming. We want to hear feedback. We want to get your reports of generations that you would have done better. So give us feedback. We actually listen. So unlike other products, anytime you roast us here, it goes directly to me. And the team, of course. So we definitely listen to your feedback. And now I think we have some time for questions before I go back to the office and enjoy GPT-5.
Big clap for Guillermo. What did you just do?
Thank you.
I had a quick question regarding the back end of V0. So like when you prompted for the UI for the front end, how was it able to generate the back end?
Yeah, great question. So if you're, who here is familiar with Next.js Apparator or React Server Components? OK, quite a few of you. Awesome. So for those who are not familiar, the front-end world, especially React, has been going on a journey to be more full stack. React actually started because at Facebook they wanted to power like something as small as the notification bell UI or the like button. And then they realized that the React programming model was really robust and very scalable, and it could power more of their front end. And then they realized that for the front end to be performant, they needed to incorporate server-side rendering. In fact, today, I saw a tweet. People are roasting a website. There's a very famous .com that if you load it, they basically deleted their homepage. It's not there. And then it comes in 10 seconds later. You know why that happens? Client-side rendering. So React is now dual. It can do server components. It can do client components. This really plays into a huge advantage for V0, because when it's generating the front end, it can now start saying, well, here I can do server-side data fetching. Here I can define a RESTful endpoint to do a handshake or a private key exchange or whatever I need to do securely with some backend. Here I can fetch data securely from a database. There's a lot of vibe coding slop that's making it into the public internet, which is people shipping their database to the client side. I did a whole analysis recently of there's an app called T-Dating. I don't know if you saw it. In fact, I thought it was going to be funny. We had two ideas for the demo today. One was going to be a crypto AI Substack, which is the one we shipped. The other one was going to be T-Dating with crypto and AI, but it was too soon. So we didn't do it. But the problem with T-Dating was actually not vibe coding, by the way. An engineer shipped an unprotected Firebase storage bucket to the client. So this is why I'm not too harsh on the LLMs. Sometimes they can make mistakes, of course, but so do humans. And so, again, what we do with V0 is because we run React server components, we can say this code belongs server side, this code belongs client side. But of course, we're still saying if you plan to go to production with something like this, give it a final audit, call your friend, or even ask the LLM, like, yo, are you sure it's secure? Make it great, make no mistakes. You can also try that. But no, jokes aside, you can actually have the LLM reflect and speak back to you, hey, tell me more about the security model. So see, it's actually doing it. Examined current security. We'll see what happens. Sometimes it also goes really nutty. Like it thinks, oh my God, like rethink the entire world. It's not secure in this way. So you have to be careful with false positives as well. You had a question.
V0 user, I paid for V0 and created 2 apps, but I do made lots of like problems. Like one is like I made a AI voice notebook, but I don't know how to connect with the database and connect with lots of things. And so that's the problem before I publish the app to public. And the second is that when I want to fine-tuning the website, I want to make more beautiful or something, and click, and always like.
Yeah.
So that's 2 questions about first app, and I do have another question about second app, but.
Yeah, so 2 things you covered. One is databases. The most successful path today for databases will be to go with one of our recommended integrations. So we're constantly optimizing and refining our integration with systems like Supabase and Neon and making more and more progress. One shortcut there that you can take is instead of having V0 start from scratch, we have a lot of really cool templates that already come with the database pre-installed. For example, one that I really like that is in the community forums, in the community list. Actually, our Cyberpunk dashboard design is one of our most popular. So you're going to find here templates that already integrate the database. So that's always better, because the LLM just like it starts from a higher starting point. By the way, another thing for those that care more about the design but don't have the patience of your second point, which is like I have to refine everything. We are publishing more and more templates that are very prompt friendly. For example, this one here, the Pointer AI landing page, most of that was generated in V0 itself. So it's almost like a guarantee that V0 will be able to reason really well about the design and make it your own. I saw a demo on X of someone saying, turn the green into a completely different color, and it just like really beautifully themed it. So long story short, for databases, I recommend starting with a template that already integrates the database. Same with auth. There's a really banger sign in with X demo here in the community. So instead of telling the agent, implement auth from scratch, just start with that. And then same with with design. We're working really hard on design mode. It's really important to us. So if you have feedback about how it's not getting a certain changed right, another really cool escape hatch that you have is that because I'm targeting an element there, if something is not fully supported in the design mode, I can still prompt it. So I'll give you an example. If I hover, it's blue. If my design team saw that, they would fire me. So I would say, instead of wishing that design mode had hover support, I can say, fix the hover state to be a really cool gradient animation in a light gray. So and we let it cook. Next question. I think he has one. Just to decentralize the questions.
Thank you. So would V0 consider adding blockchain as a backend in the future? Like we have foundries, right? I can imagine like we have a VM running foundry, then people can do smart contract development, deployment, and then Portal login, and everything built at the app within v0.
Yeah, so our approach to adding backends is twofold. I mentioned there's some first-party integrations. So if I go here, actually, this is not my blog. I would have to fork it. But if I go to here, so all of these are the first-party integrations in v0. We work hard to write evals for them to make sure that the code is high quality. We automatically provision the backend in a lot of cases. We spin up the account on the service provider side. So these are the ones that are like really easy to use. A good example here, by the way, is AI integrations. So if you want to tell the system to use AI, meaning you're using AI to build an AI app, we have a bunch of integrations with models. So it feels very native. These are more like the native integrations. But in the case of Porto, what was really cool is that we didn't build a Porto integration per se. We just vibe coded into a default template, and then we're giving you the template. In the future, especially if this continues to get traction, we can do a first-party integration here. So we can do first-party Porto integration, we can do a first-party Coinbase integration, et cetera, to sort of start to incorporate more Web3 plus services.
All right. Give it up for Guillermo.
Thank you.
Amazing, amazing, next level. One thing that well, firstly, what Guillermo just did in the demo, I think is like absolutely insane, and I think we should all give it a try. One thing that we didn't see is that because he was screen sharing his browser, and because the demo was running inside of v0, when you're using Porto inside of some third-party platforms, it will not launch the pop-up that you would see in iframe mode. So normally you would see it as part of the app, so that it's part of the full screen of the app. So it came up in a pop-up. If you're doing your own app afterwards, you will see that it happens inside of the app, and you would see continue with Porto, passkey, all of that. So just keep that in mind.